Every time it's
You're too close.
Yeah.
Must be.
I still haven't seen my picture. I did see, they did resurrect the picture. It's coming out, right now, when it burned it down.
Oh, okay. That far, well, that far precedes the one I have.
I may change visible, according to my wife, I have to change visible.
Go out.
For the 10-year-old.
Yeah. Growing up is mandatory.
I think I know who you're talking about.
So
There you go.
I do believe it is time to start. I'd like to call to order the meeting for June 15th of the Highlands Town Board of Commissioners meeting. The first item on the agenda will be a moment of silence. Will you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Now, if we'll stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Bob, I wanted to make sure, can you hear? You're good to go?
Good to go.
Thank you. Okay. Our next item is the statement of conflict of interest, which is written in item 3. If anyone has a conflict of interest on any business that we would be considering, they should disclose it at that time. The next item will be public comment. So if anyone would like to make a public comment, if you'll please come and state your name and come to the podium and make your public comment. I will now open the floor for any public comment.
Good afternoon, Steve Mater, Highlands Motoring Festival. We'd like to extend our appreciation for the town and the involvement that we had with this past week's motoring festival, particularly the Parks and Recreation Department. Lester and his people were very helpful, and we think we had a good turnout, and we appreciate everything that you've done for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. It's a great success this past weekend. Any other public comment? Hearing none, let me now go to item number 5, and that's the review and to approve the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove number 11, Gibson Street Water and Sewer Bid Acceptance Resolution. We're not ready at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any other changes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion we approve as amended.
Okay. Second, all in favor, please raise your hand and signify by saying aye. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item would be to approve the May 18th regular meeting minutes. Do we have any corrections, clarifications?
Special meeting or regular meeting?
It would be to the May, hold on, excuse me. I'm working from an old copy. The May 4th special meeting minutes. Do you have any changes or corrections?
I move to be approved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify
I
by saying
wasn't
aye.
there, Mayor, so.
Okay, okay. And then the approval of the May 18th regular meeting minutes. Do we have any changes or corrections to those minutes?
Motion to approve is presented.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and saying aye. Thank you. All right, and Commissioner Pearson was not in attendance at that one. All right, the next item will be the report, starting with the mayor's report. Let me just begin by saying that we'll be meeting with the Shelby Place Homeowners Association early in July. They have asked a number of questions about granting an easement. We've answered those questions, and I will be attending that meeting along possibly with some staff members for any final clarifications, and hopefully a vote will be taken by the homeowners association, and we can either move forward with the project if it's approved by the homeowners association, or look at our alternatives. But I'll be working with them, with that group at that meeting. Let me just go over a couple of other things. Lester Norris, our recreation director, and I have been participants in the Child Care Coalition that a group of churches and nonprofits have pulled together over the last 18 months to address that critical issue of child care in Highlands. And we've been looking at things like pre-K, full-time child care for infants, and also after-school programs and summer programs. And that's one of the areas that I believe, and Lester believes, that this town could play a role in that. So we're continuing to participate in those discussions. We also, Josh Ward and I, we've been in discussions with the Girls and Boys Club to see, and Casher, to see if there's any ways we could partner with them, and that's still, in play, but nothing has been, decided at all. But I wanted to clarify one thing. The Literacy Council, to their credit, has put forth the plan to offer a pre-K program starting next year at their facility. I applaud them for doing that. It is really needed, and they're being very responsive and very, quick to try to meet that need. With that said, I would not want anyone to misconstrue that just because the Literacy Council is stepping forward to meet that critical need, that solves the problem of pre-K education in Highlands. We still need a pre-K program, hopefully from our base of the Highlands School. So while this will be very helpful in addressing one aspect of childcare, the need for a pre-K will continue. There are a lot of kids on waiting list, and pre-K is one of those areas where there is a waiting list, and I believe there'll be a strong response once those programs are up and running. Also, Michael Mathis and I went to the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting for Macon County last week to discuss priorities for roads and sidewalks in Macon County. We're working on 106, and we're also aware of the Franklin Highway, putting sidewalks there. Those two sidewalks are actually on the what we call the STEP priority list for the DOT. Unfortunately, they have not scored very high. So if we were to depend on DOT to fund and build those sidewalks, they could become a reality somewhere between 2030 and 2035. And I reference this. This is why I think it's important for the town, especially on that 106 sidewalk, to step forward, try to build partnerships with private potential donors and get this done, because it's not a need that will go away, and we can't wait until 2030 or 2035. One thing I did learn from that meeting, and I don't want people to get too excited about it because it will be disruptive, but it is about a year away. It was revealed that the C. Tom Bryson Bridge that connects Franklin and Highlands will be replaced And the target date for letting that contract is 2024. There's plenty of time for that to be planned and address the issue of keeping a detour or some way of continuing to have traffic on the Gorge Road. But I just wanted to let people know that that is in the works, and I'll keep you posted on that situation. And then finally, I wanted to encourage people, and I haven't announced this, but the Southwestern Regional Planning Commission has a wonderful program for senior citizens and aging and so forth. They have produced a senior guide to resources, and it's a magazine, if you will, of all the available services for senior citizens, medical, social, just a tremendous resource for seniors and people that need assistance to tap into these resources. I asked the Regional Planning Commission to bring some of those guides to Highlands. They were very quick in doing that, and they're on the counter at the town hall, and they're free, of course. They're also available in the Hudson Library. So I would encourage any seniors or people that need information about how to provide services and get help to certainly come by and pick one of those up. That's all my reports. So I will now ask if the commissioners have any reports. Commissioner Hayne is not here. He had to go to a wedding. He asked me to communicate this message, and I'll do that. Commissioner Haynes says he supports the budget, especially the water plant upgrades. And also he asked to announce, and this is kind of a special event, Dr. Margaret Kibben, the chaplain to the United States House of Representatives, will be preaching at the First Presbyterian Church this Sunday. And then Monday, there will be a lecture that she'll be presenting at the church. And of course, that's open to the public. So he wanted me to convey that. And I welcome the chaplain to the United States House of Representatives to Highlands. That's all I have. If there are no commissioner reports, I'll ask our town manager to give his report.
I'm excited to say that we have offered 6 firemen, 3 lieutenants, 3 firefighters, jobs after an extensive interview process and training exercise that they were put through. There was a panel that interviewed from some surrounding county representatives that helped Chief Gearhart and Assistant Chief Robbie Forster in that. All 6 were offered and they have accepted, and they'll be starting, if not by June 30th, it'll be first few days in July. So
Okay.
Excited about that.
Very good. Thank you. Any other items?
Also, Town Hall will be closed Tuesday, July 4th for observation of Independence Day.
Okay, thank you. All right, our next item would be the consent agenda. You have the consent agenda in your packets. Do we have any questions or concerns about any information in the consent agenda?
Move we present or approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
as presented.
Second, fine. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand, saying aye. Thank you very much. The next item will be the public hearing for fiscal year 2023-24 budget. Do I have a motion that we open the public hearing?
So moved.
Yes, second. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you. The public hearing is now open. The first item for the hearing will be staff comments and recommendations. Mr. Ward.
So since the budget presentation on May 18th, the budget has decreased from $32,011,478 to $29,641,478. The decrease is due to the completion of several capital projects, including the wastewater treatment plant belt press replacement, Carolina Way sewer line replacement, Arnold Road pump station rehab, water treatment plant high service pump variable drive project, as well as the installation of a number of sewer plant or sewer pump station generators. Also included within the budget is a $2 an hour increase in salaries for the police department. The increase is in response to the loss of another officer to the neighboring agency, bringing the number of vacancies to 3. Chief Holland believes the increase will assist in retaining the current officers on staff and help with attracting new officers, as it places Highlands Police Department salaries higher than the nearby agencies. Chief Holland prepared a memo that is within your packet explaining the need for the increase. The salary increase amounts to approximately $65,000. And I want to bring to your attention, the budget ordinance has a different format. And I mentioned to you before, it is long and drawn out compared to what it has been in the past, but this is what our auditors recommended. So we're following his protocol.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Ward? Hearing none, I'll now move to the next item, which would be public comments. If anyone from the public would like to come and make a comment concerning the proposed budget, please come forward, state your name, and we will now accept any public comments. Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion that we close the public hearing? Okay, second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and saying aye. Thank you. Motion the public hearing is closed. Our next item would be board action. And Mr. Ward, I would suggest that any motion made would be to accept the budget ordinance that has been proposed. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions or?
I move we accept the budget ordinance that's been proposed for fiscal year 23-24.
Okay.
Second that.
Second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and signify by saying aye. Thank you. We have a budget. And I want to again express our appreciation to our staff with Town Manager Ward, our Financial Director, Rebecca Schuler. I know they put a lot of time in it, and all the department heads and all the staff that participated in us developing this budget. So it's a very important process that we have to go at the beginning of the year, and it allows us now to move forward and make concrete plans on how to better this community. So I really appreciate the support we've provided for this process of developing the new budget. All right, the next item will be end of year budget amendments, and I'd like Rebecca Schuler, our Finance Director, to come forward and present the budget amendments.
In your packet, you have a whole list of different budget amendments throughout the whole year that need to be just cleaned up a little bit. Gives us a little bit more flexibility as we have invoices coming in at the end of the year that we may not know quite about, or different things like that. The only two that I can think of that I would bring your attention to is back when we did the ADA study, we never did a budget amendment. So if you see in the first one, there's like $14,000 in Michael's. I think it's 14, it might be 10. 14,000 in Michael's. That was to cover the ADA study that we did. And then also in the fire department, we closed out the loan. Well, when we closed out the loan, it left a balance of about $75,000. So to close that out, they had more or less made us draw it out and make a payment back on it to close out the loan. So you'll see a budget amendment for about $80,000 for that. And I think those are the only two that I thought you might have a question on. The rest of it's pretty much just cleanup.
So Rebecca, on that loan, we never did use the
We didn't use
$75,000.
about $75,000.
So we don't get to keep it. We have to
Yeah,
just pay it back.
we don't
Okay.
get to keep it, and they don't let us just leave it there either.
And use it for what we want to do. Okay.
Exactly.
So we can't draw on it indefinitely. They won't let us.
No. So we're done. We're done with the loans. We're done with everything. Now we just start paying them all back and keep doing that till.
So on your general fund,
Yes.
long list with the color.
Oh, it was people that I was emailing to find out if they knew if anything else was coming in. So I couldn't get a hold of Lester. Those are his too.
Okay.
No reason I should have undone the highlights.
Why are those different?
No.
Got it.
Yep. Totally my brain, and you can't think in my brain.
Yeah, yeah. I know, I've tried.
And Rebecca, we could have on July 1st or after that, a few more invoices that were floating out there.
Yeah, and generally, so how the year end actually works. So in July, for the whole month of July, Gibby and I go back and look at every invoice to make sure it doesn't have to be accrued back. So if it was work that happened or anything that was in this prior fiscal year, we have to accrue those invoices back. So usually up until the middle of August is how long that works. July definitely. And then sometimes in the middle of August, it depends on when the auditors say, cut it off. So that's how that works, Pat.
All right, very good.
So
Anybody have
this,
any more
none of
questions?
this makes us go over budget in anything that we did. or
Oh,
anything like
no, nothing makes us go
It's
over
just-
budget. No.
that. Just rebalancing our line.
It's
items.
rebalancing our individual line items, and it also helps, like I said, at the end of the year, if like, I don't know, one of the guys at the shed ordered some supplies that we don't know they ordered that comes in and we get an invoice randomly out of the blue. So all it's doing is taking revenue that we've already received and just putting it back into the bottom into the expenditures. So
And I might add, Commissioner Patterson, I know in the last several years, the town manager and the finance director has really been urging department heads and staff to plan ahead and get those invoices done before the end of the budget year, so they do not get surprised.
yes.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll move that we approve the budget, year-end budget amendments as presented.
okay,
Second.
second. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand and indicate by saying aye. Thank you.
Thank
You, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Mhm. The next item, we will skip the Gibson Street. We'll go now to EV charging station parking amendment. Chief Holland.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So with the adoption or the approval of the EV parking stations throughout town, we'll need an ordinance to enforce those parkings. So what we've drafted here was a definition for EV parking. I think Gibby sent this to each of you, the electric vehicle charging station parking. Electric vehicle means that, one that operates either partially or exclusively on electrical energy from the grid or on off-grid source that is stored on board for motive purposes. EV charging station means equipment that has its primary purpose the transfer of electric energy to a battery or other energy storage device on an electric vehicle. And a space means a parking space served by an electric vehicle charging station. So what we're asking for is to approve a new ordinance that will state EV parking spaces shall be clearly marked as such. No person shall park or stand a vehicle other than an EV in an EV parking space. No person shall park, stand, or allow to be parked an EV in an EV parking space unless the EV is being actively charged at all times by an EV charging station. The penalty for violating this section shall be in accordance with the fine for parking violations as stated in the fee schedule. The fee schedule is maintained in the office of the clerk. So what we're just asking for is approval for us to adopt an ordinance so that we can enforce someone who's not charging or is parked in a EV station that's not EV as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And this is code, so it's not land use, so we don't. know
Yes,
that.
I will bring up that Bob actually reviewed that, had a couple of tweaks, and I think Gibby sent out the new version. So the new version that you all received is definitely what we need to approve. We approve it tonight.
Right.
Something else is also the fee schedule. When we started looking at it, there was some discrepancy between different types of parking violations. So to clean it up, I think the recommendation is to go $50 across the board.
That's what I had recommended before, and then we got the new wording because some of the, I was looking at the, it's office with the clerk's schedule, and a lot of our fines are not on there that we have to deal with. But for this tonight, then yes, the $50 fine would be great that I suggested before.
And that's congruent with the clerk's schedule.
So, well, what this will do is consolidate all parking
So you're going to consolidate.
violations for $50.
Okay,
And because it kind of bounces around, if you do this parking violation, you get
Gotcha.
25, and I think.
this one's
And
10.
this one's whatever. So this will consolidate it to 50. So what Rebecca and I had talked about is if you want to approve this tonight, we will reflect this on the fee schedule that was approved in the budget. That'll be reflected in the minutes that you guys will approve for next month. And that way
Okay.
we'll have it in there the way it needs to be and
Okay,
proper.
that would be great. Thank you.
And I will say that I know Lamar has talked to Envirospark several times about actually wiring up the different stations. And I think they've had issues getting equipment with supply chain shortages. And from what I understand, Lamar, the one on Oak Street behind 200 Main will be the first one that is hooked up, and they'll have to wait till they get the equipment for the other one. So did they give a timeline on when that would occur?
December.
The one behind on Oak Street won't be till December.
The one on Oak Street can happen at any time. They're just getting the permits and the construction schedule to put it in. The one on Third Street is tentative for December.
Okay.
So I move we approve the amendments to our code to, for the EV parking and the fee schedule to make all parking violations $50.
Okay. Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand saying aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Item number 13 or 12, and that would be the electric consultant program proposal. Lewis Davis of UTEC and Josh Ward, I'll turn it over to you.
So after the sudden passing of the town's long-term electric consultant, we're in need of a replacement. I spoke with the town manager of the town of Waynesville, whose electric system is similar to ours, and asked who their consultant was. He informed me that Lewis Davis with UTEC had been consulting with them for years and actually acted as their electric supervisor for some time in the past. Mr. Davis came and met with Lamar Nix and I to review our needs. We were impressed with Mr. Davis's knowledge and experience, as well as all the services UTEC has to offer. Both Lamar and I feel Mr. Davis would be a great fit to serve as our electric consultant, and that is our recommendation. Therefore, I have asked Mr. Davis to present to the town an overview of what he and UTEC brings to the table. I think we have not only Mr. Davis, but we have the president of the company with us tonight.
Good evening. I'm going to give you our Q&E.
Just leave one there. We're good. Hey.
Good evening. Thank you, guys, for having us. Just wanted to come up and introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about what we do, and ask Ted to come up and actually talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've done in the past. We've performed these same services for Waynesville and other towns in North and South Carolina. And we do a lot more. If you look in our qualification experiences, we do a lot more engineering than maybe what Kevin has provided to the town. Kevin was a good friend of mine. So it was very sad of his passing, but Anyway, Ted, you want to come up and tell us a little bit about some of the projects we do or some of the things that we perform? And please feel free to ask questions as you have them.
I hope y'all don't mind that I'm a walker raptor, so I'm not going to necessarily stand back here so you can hear me. Yes, we were very saddened to hear about Kevin's passing. Actually, Kevin got in touch with Lewis. Lewis has already mentioned that they were friends and said that he was thinking about retiring and had several towns that he didn't want to leave high and dry. And that he felt like UTAC and Lewis had the kind of service to communities that he wanted to see his clients continue to receive. Want to know if we would have interest in serving those, and we certainly are. And since that time, we have actually taken over several of his clients. Now, as Lewis mentioned, what Kevin provided to you was primarily consulting in the area of electric issues, power supply, rates, all kinds of things like that. He was a one-man operation, really didn't do engineering. Now, our firm is very much different than that. We'll make sure you understand, we're not trying to say, well, we're doing exactly what Kevin does. We do all those things that Kevin did for you, but we are a full-range engineering firm. And you've all got Q&Es, and in front, you're going to see a whole list of clients that we're working for. You'll see buku of municipal utilities. Lewis has been spending a great deal of time in Waynesville working with those folks. And you'll see Seneca, you'll see Orangeburg, South Carolina. You'll see Fayetteville PWC, which is your largest municipal utility here in this state. And you're going to see a few co-ops mentioned in there. We do work with the North Carolina EMC on fairly substantial generation and solar types of projects. You'll also find industries, for example, Michelin, the tire company, is headquartered. The North American headquarters for Michelin is in Greenville, South Carolina. And we are the engineers that provide their high voltage power support at their plants. And we actually were the engineers that oversaw the project where they fairly recently built a brand new tire plant in Mexico. We used local talent to do the detailed engineering, but we were charged to develop the conceptual plans for the whole plant, interface with the government that is the owner of the utility system. And so that was a pretty big project with transmission lines constructed and substations built, and we oversaw that whole project. So my point is, you'll see military bases in there. We've got a lot of experience doing a lot of things that are in the engineering arena. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're saying, okay, we're your guys that you've got to use for that. You may have other engineers that do that now. But for those things that Kevin was providing you, we do that. And would be very happy to be contracted with you to provide those services. Now, let me give you just a little bit of background on me. I am the founder of the company, founded September the 9/11 of 2089. So I was doing some math here to see exactly how long that was, 34 years. So we're not a brand new company. We've been around a long time. You'll see we've done all this work for all these different kinds of utilities, and it's some very high-level engineering and studies. We do arc flash studies, something you're probably very familiar with that you have to have yourselves, plus a lot of your industries, all kinds of system studies and things like that. But I actually am an Arkansan, so you've got a real live Arkansas Razorback hog in front of you right now. I graduated with my BS degree in actually June the 5th of 1971, which is a number of years ago. I stayed in school an extra year and got my master's degree, went to work for a large engineering firm, very prestigious firm that I got great learning experience there called Black & Beach. And Black & Beach bought a firm in Asheboro. And with that acquisition, I was given the opportunity to move to North Carolina. And that was in 1983. to set up a T&D operation there and hire local talent, which is what I did. I hired folks right out of NC State, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and the Citadel were my areas that I got engineers into the company. And so I was with Black and Beach for 18 years. Now, at the end of that, I was going to have to move back to Kansas City. And I love North Carolina, did not want to leave. I still was going to have to leave, but I did some soul searching and decided that I had learned an awful lot about running and managing companies. And I decided I wanted to go off on my own. So again, in 1989, I jumped ship, good relationship with Black and Beach, but I jumped ship, took several of the people that I'd hired out of the local schools with me, and we started UTEC, and the rest is history. We have, our office is in Asheboro, which is in the geographic center of this state. You probably all know the zoo is there, and the zoo is there because it is the geographic center of the state. But we also have an office in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We currently have about 35 folks. Now, our company has three primary arms of business interests. The electric utility business, which I've already mentioned, is number one. And our company name, Utility Technology Engineers Consultants, kind of hard to say. So you'll see it as abbreviated as UTEC, UTEC. So utility technology addresses, we're a full range engineering firm. We do all the structural work that's required, the electrical design work and all that kind of thing in the power industry, for industries, municipals, investor-owned utilities, the whole 9 yards. But the second arm is called Computer Consulting Group, and it's actually UTEC doing business as Computer Consulting Group. And these guys are really brilliant. They know things I know nothing about, to be honest with you, but they are able to provide computer services for Movement Bank. That's a big deal. When you are doing the IT work and the computer work for a bank that has to meet all of the criteria for operating a bank and all that kind of stuff, it's a big deal to have that kind of work. But also dental offices. And when I say a dental office, it's not really a dental office. It's a dentist who has multiple offices, and they do very sophisticated things where they need computer skills, where they can x-ray a patient and sit at home and turn their heads all around and figure out what they're going to do the next day. We provide those kinds of services to them, law offices, doctor's offices, all kinds of things like that. So my point is that we have got those skills to handle computer services work, and it's a whole different array of clients that they're doing this work for. These clients wouldn't know what a UTEC is doing electric power work, but they very much know about their modems and being in the cloud and all that kind of problem. And these guys have gotten great accolades for their work. So they're really brilliant guys in the computer area of business. And then finally, we have another company that's a sister company that we started in 1996 called Facility Consulting Group. And this is a crowd of guys that are building experts, but particularly about roofs. And the kind of work that we primarily are doing there, like we are doing the inspection work for all the post offices all across the United States where they're re-roofing these. Now, Roth Brothers is a large architectural firm that actually has that contract with the government, but they hire us to be on site during the construction process to make sure that the re-roofing that has been designed for these buildings is done exactly as it was designed to be done. So we're providing quality control. I'm telling you that because if you have roofing issues in any of your buildings that you needed to have consultants that know how to do that, they know how to investigate mold, leak problems and things like that, we're your guys. And we do several projects up here in the mountains for various kinds of facilities that have those kinds of problems. So that's our firm. And while you may be primarily right now interested in what Kevin was doing, we can do that. But I want you to understand that if you're contracted with us, that we can provide the kinds of services that you use in all your utility departments, cost of service studies, rate studies, electrical analyses, designing your nuclear plant for you. I'm kidding there. I don't think there'll ever be another nuclear plant designed in this state for a long, long time. But I'll shut up now and see if any of y'all have any questions that you'd like to ask me about our firm, how we got started, or what we're doing, or anything like that.
Seems to me that what you're saying is we would have kind of a basic contractual agreement that did focus on what Kevin was doing, but if we need other additional services, we could contract with you to address those issues.
That's correct. With almost every one of these clients that you see listed in there, we have what we call a general services contract. And it's a fairly simple contract, but it simply says it doesn't cost you one dime until you need us. And then you contact us and say, I have this issue, I have this problem. Y'all talk about EVs, charging stations. If you needed some help in that arena, we could do that. And so what we would do is if you had an emergency and you said, I need your help right now, don't give me a scope of work. You need to help me right now. The contracts are written so we can go to work for you and help you through your emergency. But the more likely is that you say, we need to consider something new, maybe a design of an underground line downtown, maybe a new substation, whatever the case may be. And you say, I would like you to give us a scope of work and what you believe the fee would be. And there's several ways we can structure that fee. And we put that together for you, bring it to you. Once we reach an agreement on, yes, this is what you want, this is what it's going to cost or the estimate cost, then we go to work for you. So my point is that, yes, while you're thinking about the kinds of reports and stuff like that that Kevin did for you, if you had something outside of that, almost any kind of engineering issue, you could come and talk to us, and we're contracted with you and we can help you with that.
Okay, I'm going to ask my questions and I'm going to shut up to let those people. I went to a meeting of the Planning Commission just recently, and one of our good friends at Duke got up and did a presentation because several months ago, there was a major breakdown in their transmission system to where we were out of power here in Highlands, helpless for like 8 hours or longer. And they were talking about now they're creating this self-mending electrical grid. So it'll all be rerouted to where we won't lose that kind of service anymore. Are you familiar with that concept?
Sure, I am. And that is a popular subject among all utilities these days to try to improve the reliability. And so let's just take your distribution system. Let's don't even worry right now about transmission. I'll use like Duke and all these companies are designing their systems now so that they're still operated radially, which means the line goes out from a substation and is not connected with another line all permanently. But if there is a fault on that line, they have installed equipment that is able to isolate that faulted section and close a recloser that is out there in the system, tying the piece that is on the one side of the fault back with another circuit, getting those people back in business. And we have just completed a project with Suryakin EMC to install automatic switching on their, for a critical load area on their system that takes a primary distribution circuit coming from one substation that is actually off the Duke 100 kV transmission system and a second line that comes from the 44 kV system. And what I'm trying to tell you is those two transmission voltages are 30 degrees out of phase. You can't tie them together until you de-energize one. And this whole project says, okay, we've lost this, so let's open up this breaker, let's close this, and got it back in business. It heals itself. It recognizes now we're fixed. Let's go back and open this up and close that back and get back to normal. So transmission wise, Duke's doing that too. And their transmission systems already generally operate that way. Unless you're on a radial tap, and I don't know specifically the details, but yes, I'm very familiar with that. And that is what the utilities are trying to do to enhance, beef up their electric systems these days.
Okay. And then finally, my last question. Around 2028, we will have to either renew our electrical contract with Duke, the wholesale contract, or look for alternatives. Could your company kind of, if you will, serve as a contract broker for us to identify what's the best
Absolutely.
deal for us?
We are doing that right now as we speak. So Lewis mentioned Waynesville. Here's how we got into Waynesville. Their contract was up with Duke, and Kevin had actually been working with them to evaluate some other options, and they had gotten quotes. And so Waynesville contacted Seneca, where we did that for Seneca to find out what they had done. And Seneca said, well, we were always a customer of Duke's. And then utility technology, we were in some rate disputes and things like this. And utility technology said, the Energy Policy Act has been passed and you can be served by anybody. They helped us get new power supply contracts with Southern companies. And we saved millions of dollars in power costs. So from that point, Seneca, after that contract was over, we did it again, and they went to work for Progress Energy. Lewis was a Progress Energy guy at that time, and they served him, and now it's Sandy Cooper. Waynesville's being served by Sandy Cooper. We are the ones that orchestrated all of that. Right now, we just completed this same work for Georgetown, and they are staying with Sandy Cooper. They got the very best deal in the rate structure by going through our RFP process. Seneca's starting that now, and Waynesville is right on the cusp of needing to do that too. So that's a lot of words for me to tell you that we do that. Lewis does that, and I promise you will be happy with the end results, because we'll show you exactly and we show them. We go out with an RFP and we get these proposals and we evaluate them, and we go back to each one of the power companies and say, now here is every detail of how we have analyzed your proposal and have developed all the costs for 20 years into the future. You may not be contracted for 20 years, but we want to know what those costs are. And we want to make sure that you agree that we have interpreted everything precisely as you meant, and these costs are calculated correctly. And we do that with each one. So you may have 5 different companies that we go out and solicit proposals, and they're all different in how they provide the rate structure. But we do that and then identify what the best option is, help you understand every detail that as deep as you want to get into it. We will teach that to you, and then go before you guys right here and make the presentation of why we're recommending that maybe it not be Duke, it might be PMPA, it might be somebody else, and help you understand this is the best economic decision for us. So
Okay.
Sorry, I was a long answer to that, but that's right down the alley of what we do.
Well, that was kind of my question. One of your clients is Duke Energy and Progress Energy and Piedmont Municipal Power Agency. If we contract, I assume we're your client against, they're on the other side of the table, right?
Well, that's correct. But now let me also tell you this. We have done a huge amount of work for Duke, and it's in engineering of lines and substations and all that kind of stuff. We don't represent Duke on issues like you getting power supply from them. We're your guys. So in all these cases, we're representing our clients. There's no conflict of interest, because that's where we're protecting you. So so that would not be an issue, because we don't do that kind of work for the IOUs.
Okay. That was just when you list them as their client, and they're on the other side of the table when we do a contract.
Just remember now what I told you about all the things that we do.
Multiple
So
things.
when Duke is asking for the design of a new interconnect substation, and we're doing that, we're worried about breakers and lines and relays and all that, not what is your power supply cost. No, we don't do that.
Just that home run.
Yes.
Oh, is that what that
That
was?
was-
Yeah.
I saw a ball game going on.
Yeah.
Somebody hit a big one.
That's right field. Yep.
Other questions? Well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here, and Lewis is going to be your primary contact, and you already know him, so if you've got any questions, you can certainly contact me too, but probably you would call Lewis, and if I need to get involved, I will. And, we'll get whatever resources we need to look at whatever situation you've got and get you rolling.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I guess the only thing we need to do is just simply direct our town manager to move forward with setting up a contract with them.
And
You can-
Lamar's good with this?
Yes.
Yes, and they've been in on discussions.
I trust Lamar. I trust you too, but in this instance, I trust Lamar.
Do we want a motion, or is that just a consensus that we confirm that the town manager can move forward?
I think so.
Do we need a motion?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't think. Okay, very good. All right. Bob, do you have any comments before we adjourn?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're now at the end of the agenda. Any further comments before I call for a motion to adjourn?
We adjourn.
Second, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Man, we moved on this. Yeah.